Hey everyone, skull902 here. Now I know that the anniversary was a couple months ago, but my channel is officially 10 years old now. It was created on April 28th, 2008, and has since gained over 1,100 subscribers as well as 327,000 video views. I can't thank you guys enough for the love and support throughout this time, from the new subs to those that have stuck around since the beginning and anywhere in between. Taking some inspiration from Some Call Me Johnny and The Great Clement, I've decided to go ahead and make my own little retrospective about my time on YouTube. Though this channel started 10 years ago, I had another one that I used for 13 months beforehand, and that's what I'm going to talk about first here in 10 years plus 1 of skull902. So this whole journey started with the creation of my skull900 account on March 16th, 2007. I had an account for about a month beforehand, but I didn't do anything on it, so like the creation of skull900 is what I consider my real start on the website. Now, for the first month or so, I was watching pretty much exclusively wrestling content. At least to the best of my memory, that's pretty much all I was watching. But eventually I did start searching up more stuff about like video games that I liked. First and foremost Mario, which at that point was my favorite video game series of all time. And like I can remember watching speedruns. That's actually how I was introduced to speedruns. I saw one of Andrew G's runs of the original Super Mario Brothers in like 5 minutes, and I was amazed by that because I was totally fucking shit at the game. So eventually that would lead me to YouTube poops, where people would take clips from like the cartoons or game cutscenes or something to make some wacky fucked up thing. And you know, that persisted for a little while, and it was through there that I got more familiar with Sonic the Hedgehog, which would soon take over Mario's place as my favorite video game franchise. I remember during this time I would see like YouTube poops with the name Robotnik in the title, and for whatever reason, stupid dyslexic 13-year-old me thought that it was reading Robotink, and I thought that Robotink referred to Grounder. That's like just a bit of how unfamiliar I was with Sonic at the time, but eventually that would change. Starting in the middle of May, actually. This is when I met like my first consistent online friend that I would talk to for years, you know, down the line. Her name was Sapphire. She made Sonic content of her own that I, you know, ran into, and I sent her a message being like, hey, I like your videos, and it pretty much went on from there. But she was, you know, a real sweet girl, taught me everything that I needed to know about Sonic, gave me like the beginner's course for knowledge of Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. But it was a fun time, and like YouTube would have these chat rooms that you could set up at the time. They called them YouTube streams. It's not like live streaming, it was just like a chat room where you could like sync up videos to watch together with your friends. Interesting concept. I'm kind of sad that it didn't really catch on, because that was a fun time. But like she and I would just talk about like stuff about Sonic around then, and along with Wikipedia, which I also discovered in 2007, she, you know, gave me again the beginner's course, and that's how I learned about Sonic. So pretty much all throughout the summer I was like really getting into Sonic, and that's when I became a fan. It pretty much is when I met her. So I was taking in stuff like the cartoons, like Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sat AM, Underground, like fucking everything. Watching game cutscenes to, you know, get myself more familiar with the franchise. One thing in particular that I will never forget is the first time that I saw the OVA, which, like, due to like some loading problems back then, I couldn't get to work properly the first couple of times, but once I did, and I took the time to like let the video buffer, and I sat down and watched it, like my computer was situated in the basement at the time, haha. But so I sat down and I turned the lights off and I just watched the movie, and it was actually really immersive to do that because all I could see was the screen, and I had a fun time watching the movie. You know, it was an enjoyable experience to me, and even though I think that the movie is just like kind of okay nowadays, I can still get some entertainment out of watching it. You know, it was a fun time learning about Sonic and just taking a lot of the media of Sonic in during that time when I was, you know, I was just a teenager at the time, just turned 13. Good stuff. Had a fun summer back then. Speaking of the summer of 2007, I actually started making videos of my own in June. They weren't uploaded to YouTube at the time because I'm, again, a fucking moron. And I didn't know the difference between like a Windows Movie Maker project file and an actual video file. So I didn't actually properly render out my videos before I deleted them. And I remember being frustrated because I didn't understand, like, hey, why isn't this uploading to YouTube? I don't get it. You know, just really dumb shit like that. But I'm also very thankful that those videos weren't up, even though videos very similar to them that I made later eventually made it on the website. Because, like, you know, in Sonic and Amy's Crazy Date, that part where I had, like, the Movie Maker slideshow, it's kind of like that, where it was just, like, a slideshow with text over pictures, there was poor grammar, awful jokes, and, like, you know, that segment of Sonic and Amy's Crazy Date is actually much better in production value because it has music, and like, my videos didn't. Most other people's videos had music, and they would actually like change the character's picture depending on the emotion that they were conveying. I didn't do that either. So my videos, like, even though all those videos are of a particular quality, I'll say, mine were the shittiest that could possibly have been made under that format. It was just awful, but June 2007 is when I started making videos that I intended to put on YouTube. Aside from just general Sonic stuff, like official Sonic media, I also got into various different things, like YouTube poops, like I mentioned earlier, Smosh, gag dubs where like someone would take a cutscene from a game or whatever and play silly dialogue over it, plush adventures. I'm remembering specifically shows like Robot Mario. There was a show called Robot Mario and a channel called Sonic Gabe Mario James that I watched back then. I also got into Rooster Teeth, even though they didn't really have a presence on YouTube at the time, but they would eventually, so shut up. And of course, since that was what I started YouTube, watching YouTube with, I should say, I was also getting into wrestling channels. So I had a varied amount of stuff that I would watch back then, and it was again just a fun time, like I enjoy saying so much. In September of 2007, my little brother and I came up with the idea to start a fake production studio because, you know, every teenager has to have one, and we called it 16-Bit Productions. We made a channel for that. And it was actually surprisingly like kind of like a network that we had going on with other YouTubers. We only got like 2 other people to make videos for it, but we actually convinced other people to make videos for our fucking stupid channel. But the kind of things that were on it were like another plush adventure series that was called The Sonic and Shadow Show. That was what one of my friends made for it. My little brother and another friend of mine made pivot stick figure animation videos for it, but like the flagship show for 16-Bit Productions was a show called Sonic vs. Mario. Not Sonic and Mario, the show that I have now, but it was called Sonic vs. Mario. And that was actually the videos that I was making in June that I couldn't upload to YouTube. I actually deleted the first season of it after I, you know, got rid of the project files. So Sonic vs. Mario on YouTube, anyway, started with season 2. And boy, what a mess that fucking shit was. Pretty much all the problems that I mentioned earlier, like god-awful jokes, poor grammar, you know, it's just a boring, musicless, text-over-picture slideshow that Oh God, I'm glad that that's gone from the internet. It seems, but yeah, it was just, ooh, horrible, horrible. I can't apologize enough to anyone who might have actually seen that, and if they remember it, because it was bad. It was really fucking bad. Also in September, I watched a video that was a Halo mod someone made that put like Sonic related stuff in it. So like they changed the Banshee into the Tornado 2 from Sonic Adventure, and you know they put like Sonic characters in there and whatnot. And I was like blown away by this, and I started coming up with what would become Sonic and Mario. That gave me an idea, and I wanted that mod so that I could make a machinima, because again I really liked Red vs. Blue. But like Sonic and Mario started out as an idea where Sonic would be taken into the Halo series, and it was going to be called Sonic and Blood Gulch. It was going to be a complete and total Red vs. Blue ripoff. Again, you know, this was very early. I was coming up with even shittier ideas than I have now. It was god-awful, and I regret it every single day. Now, here's a big one. In September, I believe, anyway, it could have been at any point between, like, September 07 and April 08, but for the sake of, you know, just, like, my memory, I met a mutual friend of ours in September, and I'm fairly certain he was also in the chat. I met Rabid Sonic Fan in September of 07 in one of those YouTube streams that I mentioned earlier. And Rabid has been a completely wonderful person to me, absolutely awesome friend and creative partner. His help to the channel has been invaluable. He's like a really funny writer, talented voice actor. He's fun to hang around, and he's just a wonderful guy. I can't say everything that I want to say about him, because I can't come up with that many nice things, because there's just too many to think of in a reasonable amount of time. I love you, man. So that gushing out of the way. In November, I got like my first set of Sonic the Hedgehog merchandise, which was a 5-set of 5-inch plush dolls. It was Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Shadow that I got with the intention of making a plush adventure show of my own, which, of course, never came to be. But, you know, I got inspired, you know, to do one of those shows of my own. If there's one thing that's remained consistent about me throughout all this time, is that I've been willing to get into different styles of filmmaking or whatever. So, you know, I just wanted to try it out. That show never came to be, but I actually did film a promo for the Sonic and Shadow Show Season 2 with those things. And yes, my camera back then, I didn't have a camcorder. I just had, like, a cell phone camera that could take video. So, yeah, it was really fucking bad. But, you know, that's what I got those plushes for. And I actually got a second set 2 months later that was, like, it was 12-inch plushes of the same characters plus Eggman and Big. So I definitely had some ideas floating around back then. They wouldn't come to fruition, but I just think up a lot of stuff. And I don't think that's really changed about me throughout all this time. I really just overrun my mind with creative thoughts, shit that I'll never be able to do. But, you know, that's just how I've been for pretty much all my life. So, Something else I also did in 2007, near the tail end of the year, was I made like a couple stupid, fucking random, meaningless alternate accounts that like served no purpose whatsoever. I suppose one of them, which, God, it was called 1-800-SKULL. I'm not fucking joking. That couldn't be a legitimate phone number. Why did I, you know what, whatever. And another, like, the other one was called skull900X. But 1-800-SKULL actually did exclusively host, again, another awful slideshow movie maker series that I made. But, like, skull900X, what? Like, I don't even know what like, the only thing that I remember uploading to that channel was, like, copyrighted wrestling matches that eventually got me strikes. So, yeah, good idea, me. Just be fucking stupid like that, you know? Just really dumb ideas that I had, and I really have no idea why I made these alternate channels. Again, a lot of ideas floating around, but the vast majority of them are fucking awful, like these two channels that I made for absolutely no reason. So, remember that flagship show for 16-bit Productions that I mentioned, Sonic vs. Mario? That ended the same year that it started. December 2nd, 2007 was the finale for season fucking 5. So in less than 6 months there was 5 seasons and 32 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. Because I was just rushing these fuckers out, like, with no coherent plot or anything like that, but I've complained about that more than enough. It was shit. Let's just, you know, get on to the next point of what's on my notes here. So that ended, and then there was going to be a sequel series to that, actually. And here's how dated my fucking idea was. It was going to be called Sonic vs. 4 Kids. Like, I think the plot to it was going to be that, like, fucking 4 Kids Entertainment was going to take over the world. And Sonic the Hedgehog had to stop it. It was so goddamn dumb. Like, I don't even know, but God, I was just really fucking stupid back then. Thankfully, that never got made. There was, like, one trailer video for it, and then I just never followed through. Thank God. But, like, that was like right at the very end of 4Kids' relevancy with the Sonic franchise, because Sonic X had ended like 2 years prior, and the voice actors didn't stick around for much longer after that. So I don't know. I just don't know, man. So also in February, activity on 16-bit Productions was like slowing down. I think there was a bit of Sonic and Shadow Show going on, but nothing made by me or my brother or the other guy. So while that was stopping, I was actually uploading more to skull900. I remember uploading, again, more wrestling matches that weren't on skull900X. See how fucking useless that account was? And I think 1 or 2 of the videos actually got like 1 million views. I could be completely wrong about that, and my memory just failing me, but I'm fairly certain that 1 or 2 of my wrestling uploads actually did get like over 1 million views. Nothing earned, of course, because it was just stuff I was like re-uploading from WWE, but you know, whatever. But like, importantly, February 2008 was the month that I got my first of many copyright strikes. The first of which was to that video that someone made in The Sims 2 that was like a music video for I'm My Own Grandpa. I forget who made that song, but it was something that was like circulating around back then. I thought it would be a good idea to upload it to my channel. It wasn't. So yeah, that was like the first of many. YouTube didn't have a copyright ID system back then, so it wasn't like, oh, okay, this isn't a strike, it's an ID. And they also, it seems to me that like they didn't have the 3 strikes rule either, but that's something I'm going to be talking about just a little bit later from now. So in November of the previous year, like 2007, I think it was November anyway, I decided that I wanted to be a voice actor when I was, you know, grown and like went through college and all that. I wanted to do voiceover acting after watching a video about voice acting. I'm not entirely sure what I watched, but that's, you know, that's just the career path that I wanted to go down. So I remember bothering my mom about getting a microphone for a while, and I didn't get one until April of 2008. It was a very fucking shitty headset. I'm surprised that anyone decided to hire me to be on their shows. I mean, just have a listen to the quality in like these couple of clips here.
Have you seen Froggy? We'll be watching you. I've got you now.
It was fucking terrible. But around the time that I got this microphone is when I made like my first kind of improvement. Even though the microphone quality was terrible and I was a shit voice actor, I decided to add voices to my god-awful Windows Movie Maker slideshow videos. I think I only made like 1 or 2, but at least it was somewhat better. Like, it still had shitty jokes and no music, but at least it was somewhat better than text over images. I don't fucking know. It just, ugh. Still awful. Still awful. But, alas, after a series of copyright strikes in March and April for uploading various things without giving credit, because that was something you could actually get away with back then. If you put like who owned the video in the description, you could like get away with uploading something, but I didn't for most of the things that I uploaded. So in March and April I got a whole bunch of those, and since they were all linked to the same email account, skull900, 16-bit productions, skull900x, 1-800-skull, and one of my brother's accounts were all removed from YouTube, suspended, done, kabang. And I wasn't very happy, and I would express this with the creation of my skull902 account. So 2008 is what I would call a year of improvement. I didn't like get good or anything like that, but like my style of video making got a lot better than it was in the past, though it would take a little bit of time. So, as I previously mentioned, I created skull902 on April 28th, 2008, after skull900 was suspended. On the first 2 days of skull902 being active, I decided to make very fucking angry videos aimed at YouTube for suspending my previous accounts, which, of course, you know, really impulsive, dumbass idea. But, like, I was going through a shit time in my life, and I was a lot more irritable back then. Even, you know, even though that was a thing, it's not really an excuse, because, like, that's probably one of the worst things that you can think of, is some kid in his early teens bitching and moaning about stuff that's completely meaningless in, you know, the grand scheme of things. But I was upset about it, and I wanted them to know. I think those videos may have gotten, like, a total of, like, 6 views. So, not too much damage done, but still a really stupid, dumbass decision. I should have just accepted it and moved on, which I did eventually, but not immediately, like I really should have. So I mentioned Rabbit earlier. I started talking with him more regularly in the spring of 2008 after he had my back in a bit of a spat of drama. What is what I will say about that whole situation. Again, really dumb and embarrassing, but Rabbit took my side, and I appreciated that. And then we kind of started talking more on Skype and MSN Messenger. That was a thing. But that's when I started learning all the positive things that I said about him in the last segment, was, you know, that he's really funny, you know, good voice actor and whatnot. He and I have had quite a bit of a journey together. Pretty much became adults side by side, you know, just being friends and whatnot. It was it's been a good time talking to him. I'm saying pretty much all the same things that I was in the last segment, so I guess I'll just move on. That shitty Sonic Halo Machinima thing that I mentioned, Sonic and Blood Gulch, that was announced in May with a demo of character voices. I'm not going to mention who the actors that I got to be on the show were, but they were like people that I contacted from making videos that I liked watching back in the day. And much like pretty much every Sonic fan project that I've made, I was the voice of Sonic. I had a very terrible voice for Sonic that I didn't really truly realize until I listened to those recordings that I made for said demo of voices. So that's when I changed it to like the kind of voice that you would hear going from like the first episode of Sonic and Mario to I want to say like my return from the second voice acting hiatus. But again, just small improvements, learning that my original Sonic voice, I don't even remember, it was something like this, like really quiet and whatnot. Just absolute dog shit, you know. I legitimately don't even remember how I did that voice, but what I do remember is that it was bad. Very, very, very bad. So in the summertime, I decided to change up what I was doing. No remnants of the old slideshow videos that I was doing. I had gotten familiar with sprites over the previous year, and I decided to start making sprite videos similar to the ones that Kudu17, that was a guy that I watched, was making. So like I would use a text-to-speech program called Speakonia to make the characters talk. I would have the characters up on like real-life backgrounds and, you know, various things like that. I didn't put any like full animation in there like Kudu did, but it was pretty much like a sprite comic. That's what someone referred to the style as when commenting on an episode of Sonic and Mario, was that it was like watching a narrated sprite comic, and I can see where he was coming from. But yeah, so it was pretty much just a ripoff of Kudu17, like again a lot of people were doing back then, and eventually I would kind of grow out of that. But that's what I was doing in like the summer of 2008, and for like 10 months or so past that point. In July, I met another one of my good friends through YouTube, another one of my wonderful internet pals. Her name was Eli, and she was holding like Sonic auditions, and that was like the first thing that I really auditioned for on YouTube or anywhere that was soliciting voice acting auditions. But she made a video, Sonic voice actors needed, or something along those lines, and I decided to be like, hey, I'm just starting out, I could use the exposure, so I decided to audition for this show, and I think I was the only person who auditioned. I auditioned for the roles of Sonic, Shadow, and eventually I was given like the roles of Knuckles and the narrator for another show that didn't come out. But, you know, I auditioned for Sonic and Shadow and was pretty much immediately given them. I think it was like the only person who auditioned for those roles, but, you know, whatever. You know, even though that project never came to be or anything like that, our friendship didn't just last through the duration of, hey, is this thing still coming out? It was, and I mean, still is, long going. Has been going on for the last 10 years. Another very close personal friend of mine, and I'm very glad that I decided to take up those auditions, because I met someone who, just a wonderful person, great artist, just someone that I very much appreciate having in my life, and yeah, just a good decision on my part to audition, even though the audition was terrible, but I made a wonderful friend out of it. So, also in July, there was a bit of a falling out with the actors that I had for Sonic and Blood Gulch, and I realized that I probably wouldn't be able to make a Halo Machinima in the time frame that I wanted. I actually had some foresight, actually, when I came up with the idea, because I was like, okay, this is something that's going to come out in 2009 or 2010, and that was back when I came up with it in 2007, and considering like how I just wanted to rush everything out back then, I'm surprised that I had the foresight again to you know, see that this was going to take a while to set up, but ultimately it wasn't going to happen in the way that I originally thought, and thank God for that. But after I sort of realized that the machinima wasn't going to work out, I started transforming the idea, keeping the general idea of inadvertent interdimensional travel, that's what my notes say, but changing the concept a bit. It wasn't going to be Sonic traveling to another world, it was going to be the characters from Mario traveling to Sonic's world, and that's where it became Sonic and Mario. So that's pretty much like the evolution of the idea of Sonic and Mario. Came from a like red versus blue ripoff shitty Sonic mod Halo Machinima thing. So that's how that got started. Once more in July, there was a sprite fight. I know, right? You know, considering all the aversions that I've done in Sonic and Mario to actually having a sprite fight, there was a fully animated sprite fight that was on my channel. It was like a couple Sonic OCs, that my little brother took the time to animate. It was using the sprite animation process that a lot of people would use back then if they didn't have Flash. Like the low rent, I suppose, version of that would be like making the frames in Microsoft Paint and then putting it all together in Windows Movie Maker. But you know, he spent some time on that. There was actually one shot of it that was done in Pivot, which was cool to look at. Unfortunately, I do not have this video, so I'm not able to show it, but there was a sprite fight on my channel, and that's what it was. It was a couple fucking original Sonic characters do not steal fighting over pretty much no reason, you know, just nothing. So after a month of rethinking the concept, I announced Sonic and Mario on August 18th, 2008, and that's what this video is going to be for, is to commemorate that announcement, the 10th anniversary of that. I announced it with a video of my own seeking auditions. I again put up a voice demo for the characters that I was going to do, and again, like, you know, I think the characters that I had in there were Sonic, Mario, Luigi, Knuckles, and maybe one or two more that I, you know, would go on to voice in the actual series. It was bad. Again, I was just starting out with voice acting. You know, I had done voice acting in a way because I liked doing impressions and silly voices when I was a kid, but this was like when I was starting to get serious about it. You know, I was untrained, still am, and very bad at it. So that wasn't very good, but I surprisingly did get a good amount of auditions from that, and you know, I met obviously the actors that I chose for the show through that video, including KN of Sonic Song 182. That's how we met. She contacted my email with a couple of clips from her first voice demo on the channel. So she was legitimately auditioning for Rouge, which I immediately was like, yeah, you're the voice of Rouge, because her Rouge voice was amazing. And then she also put in like clips of Knuckles and Eggman, like as a joke, like, hey, I know that you're not gonna pick me, but here's Knuckles and Eggman as well, why not? And I thought that was pretty entertaining. But that's how I met KN, was through the Sonic and Mario auditions, and KN has again just been an invaluable help to me, and I hope that she would say the same things about me. But you know, it started a thing because I cast her for my show, and then she contacted me a couple months later. Is like, hey, do you want to voice this frog? You know, that's like my first voice over for like a completely original character was the Frog Prince in the Sonic Song 182 movies. I was in the very first movie, so I'm a Sonic Song 182 OG. And it's been an amazing time being on her channel. Her names, I should correct myself right there. It's been a lot of fun. They've been a help to me. I hope I've been a help to them. And I've just had a really fun time, like being Frog Prince, Santa Claus, and of course Big the Cat for the channel. Just absolutely wonderful. Couldn't ask for you know, a better friend. KN has been a very supportive person, very nice. You can go to her for advice and whatnot. She's just a good pal, much like the other friends that I'm gushing over in this video. But she's been an absolute dream to work with. Very, very good person, and that's pretty much all I have to say. Again, I can't come up with enough nice things to say about my friends. So, yeah. I started writing the first season of Sonic and Mario also in August of 2008. August 29th, I have as the exact date in these notes here. So, like, Sonic and Mario was originally going to be like a more self-contained thing, like self-contained episodic series, as opposed to being serialized. That's kind of an interesting thing to think about, like how the series turned out. I was also gonna like put in locations like places from the Sonic Adventure games that I wasn't able to do, but it was gonna be more episodic. Like storyline things were only really gonna be at the beginning and the end of each season, but instead they turned out to be the entire season pretty much. of, Sonic and Mario. Each season was a serialized thing. So, again, very different. I was just trying to figure out how to do this, and yeah. As a quick aside, this was actually around the time that I introduced my profile picture, the one that I have now. Back in the day, YouTube would allow people to choose their profile picture based on one of the thumbnails for their videos, and I really liked this one video that I uploaded that was just a black and white thing with a smiley face on it. Eventually, YouTube wouldn't let me select that one anymore, and it kept changing it to something else, so I just did up this little thing in Microsoft Paint. I was saying for the win like all the time back then, so I put FTW under the smile face. No, it doesn't mean fuck the world. And I actually did it in a different font too. I think it's Verdana, something along those lines. But eventually the smiley face would change. Like I made one for my DeviantArt account that's a bit different without an FTW. And then eventually I changed the font to Arial Black, which is my sort of standard font that I use now. There's a couple variants, like I said, but that's basically the story of my profile picture that I like to use. My symbol, as it were. But with Sonic and Mario on the horizon, I decided to give up the rights to 16-bit productions to Shadow Warrior 11, the guy who created the Sonic and Shadow show in September of 2008. I don't really know what he's up to now. He did use the name for a couple years afterward, but it's kind of the end of a chapter. I suppose after a year of being the owner of 16-bit productions, I gave those reins to Shadow Warrior 11. Just the end of a chapter of my YouTube life right there. Also remember, the first Sonic and Mario preview came out in October, so that was like the first taste of anything that people would get of Sonic and Mario. It did turn out to be different from how the show would turn out. Like, I had a series of these planned, but only one of them ever came out. Again, I'm gonna say it, thank God. But it was gonna be like a thing where like two characters would talk to each other about what the show was gonna be like. And that was the start of the very awful running gag that I had about Rouge hitting on people. Again, KN, I'm very sorry that I made you say those things. Just awful, but it was a taste, again, of what to expect with Sonic and Mario. I did mention that I had voice auditions and whatnot, and I wanted to set this series apart from the sprite videos that I was previously making and that a lot of other people were making. I didn't want to use real life backgrounds. I wanted to use the game backgrounds. I didn't want to use Speakonia. I used real voice actors. And I think that sets it apart enough to be considered a bit different. I mean, there's still sprite skits at the end of the day, but I think it's good to sort of think about what can set you apart at least a little bit from other people. And I'm surprised I kind of had those thoughts this early into my days making videos, along with the foresight that I wouldn't be able to, make the series in the first place until a couple years after I came up with the idea. Very surprising sometimes that there was a bit of I'm not gonna say smart, but interesting thoughts and whatnot that I had amongst the mountains of awful, shitty ideas. But at the very start of the next month, in November of 2008, I experienced troubles voicing my characters. The majority of them, anyway. There was a couple of voices that I could still do, but for the next 6 months or so, I went through my first voice acting hiatus, which sucked ass. But it was just something. I just couldn't do the voices. I don't think, unlike the other hiatuses that I've been on from voice acting, I don't think that there was any pain or discomfort. It was just that I just wasn't able to do the voices. My throat did feel different. So it might have something to do with my voice maturing. Or I should have said, it might have had something to do with my voice maturing. I'm not entirely sure, but again, it wasn't every character that I just suddenly couldn't voice. There were a few, but it was a really mixed bag. It was kind of weird. It was I think I could voice Sonic, or I'm sorry, like I couldn't voice Sonic, but I could voice Luigi, which is weird because like my Luigi voice was basically Sonic but with an accent. I just don't know. It was fucking weird. But during this time, I actually came up with my big voice, and I sent clips of this to KN as my audition for Big in Sonic Song 182, and I also included a link for her to buy a Big plush, and I guess she liked it enough to entertain my stupid idea and put Big in the series. So like I've said before, I weaseled my way into being in the Sonic Song show on the main cast as opposed to being on the secondary cast. So hooray for me, I cheated. During this voice acting hiatus, I wrote the script for Sonic and Mario's first episode on December 9th, and I sent it out to all the actors. They didn't have very many lines in the first episode, but whatever. They got their lines. I was happy that the first script was written. I had to delay the show to the spring of '09 due to the voice acting hiatus, but at least I was making some kind of progress with it. An idea that I didn't make progress with for a very long time was in December of 2008, I became a fan of Hellfire Comms while watching their playthrough of Sonic Adventure DX. It's kind of weird because before then, I don't know if I just watched all the shitty ones or if I just wasn't giving them enough of a chance, but I actually fucking hated gameplay videos up until that point where there was commentary done over it. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was dumb. Obviously, those thoughts have changed, but after watching Hellfire Comms, I was like, okay, I like these guys. They're funny, and I wanted to do videos like that of my own. So I became interested in doing it, and that's something that I would start thinking about to myself and trying to do some research into how to make that possible, what I needed to buy for it, and eventually I would bring it up to Rabbit a little later. But again, that's something I'm going to talk about in the next segment. But my hatred for Let's Play videos ended in December of '08, at least partially, when I became a fan of Hellfire commentaries. In 2009, that was the year where I really started finding my footing as far as what I wanted to do on YouTube was. I uploaded the last Speakonia sprite skit in January of that year, so that was the end of that. I wanted to do videos like Sonic and Mario. Again, like I said, kind of trying to separate myself from other sprite video makers of the time, and have real voice actors, video game backgrounds only, or at least mostly, stuff like that. In March of that year, Sonic and Mario once again got delayed because, again, my throat wasn't feeling all that great and I couldn't voice most of my characters. It got delayed to the summer, so I think I'm going to just save any Sonic and Mario conversation until I get to that point in the year. But also in March, again, I started talking with Rabbit about my ideas for doing gameplay videos, and we created the channel Super Chaos Commentaries on March 28th of 2009. Again, we intended to do stuff in the way of Hellfire Comms, and eventually channels like Brain Scratch Comms and whatnot. That wasn't done. We did partner up again with a couple other people. Pretty much anyone who said that they wanted to make gameplay videos for us, we allowed in at the time. But between all four of us, none of us uploaded any gameplay to that channel. In fact, for the first year, the only things that were uploaded was me and Rabbit reading Pac-Man fanfiction and the Super Chaos Comms top picks for video game music or something. So, it wasn't from a lack of trying either. I don't know about the other two people that we brought onto the channel, but me and Rabbit, I know Rabbit recorded gameplay that did go up on YouTube, but it wasn't very much. And I also recorded something for Super Smash Bros., the original N64 game on an emulator, but the footage came out all wrong, which really disappointed me because The first match that I had, it was, I was going through the game as Fox, and the first match that I had was against Pikachu in Hyrule Castle, and, like, Pikachu killed himself, like, immediately into the fight. It was amazing. I don't know why Pikachu would decide to do that, but I guess he was just done. He was just done with all of this bullshit. And then, like I said, the footage of the game decided to delete itself or something weird like that. So Super Chaos Comms did not get off to a great start, or pretty much a start at all. And it would pretty much be that way for the next few years. On April 1st, my computer was infected with a worm. I believe it was a worm anyway, but that rendered it completely useless. I had to, or I should say we, because it was a family computer after all. We had to get an old computer from my grandma's house and place it in, and that's what we would use for the internet. But it was like our computer, as far as operating systems was concerned, like our computer was starting to like really get out of date because we had Windows XP. But the computer that we picked up from my grandma's had Windows 2000 on it, and my God, YouTube didn't work very well on it. Like you could still watch YouTube, but it was at a very low frame rate. It's something that I got used to, but you know, not something I really liked all that much. It was good for reading Wikipedia though. Text doesn't take up much space, but you know, I couldn't make videos either because Windows 2000 didn't have Windows Movie Maker, and even then, the original version of Movie Maker didn't output to WMV. So even if I had like Windows Millennium Edition, I wouldn't have been able to make videos anyway, or at least ones that I could put on YouTube. So it was kind of a lose-lose situation for me. It was pretty much just waiting for my computer to get fixed. I think we took it to a shop. I'm not entirely sure about that, but there was a bit of dormancy as far as that kind of thing is concerned. Didn't have a computer for a few months afterward. Even with my computer dead at the beginning of April, later on in that month, my throat actually did improve, and it went back to normal, and I could do all the voices that I couldn't do anymore. So I was, you know, really happy about that. Obviously, I was able to do my voices again, and it wasn't like I couldn't record on the other computer either, so I was perfectly capable of doing that. But I was a bit curious about something. So I went over to my grandma's house and I actually picked up like a really old microphone that she had there, which is Labtech AM242. It's the very microphone that I'm recording this video with right now. I tested it out for curiosity's sake, and I was very surprised to hear that the audio quality was actually a lot clearer than that of my old headset. So I pretty much kicked that headset to the curb and started voice acting with this microphone right here. It served me very well for the last 9 years. Even though I am looking for it to get replaced, it's still a very suitable microphone. You know, just a good thing on my part. Again, curiosity, not always a bad thing, and it rewarded me with a very suitable microphone for my needs. Speaking of my grandma's house, I actually put two and two together. She had a working computer with Windows Vista on it. So I realized that I could make the first episode of Sonic and Mario while I was waiting for my normal computer to get fixed. I went ahead and recorded my lines on May 24th, and then I started making the frames for the episode 2 days later. I remember giving updates on my channel about the progression of the episode's production, being like, oh hey guys, Sonic and Mario, it's going to be delayed a little bit again, but the first episode's actually coming along this time. It's going to be good. I have my lines recorded and whatnot. I was trying to generate a bit of hype. Nobody ever responded to these updates. But, you know, it was a fun time for me because I was getting this thing done that I had been looking to do for so long. And, you know, eventually I did. On June 25th was when everything was put together and the first episode was completely edited and done. I remember during the rendering process, actually, so like when the video was saving, that's when I learned that Michael Jackson died, was when I was rendering out the first episode of Sonic and Mario. That was a really weird thing because I was like really happy that this video of mine that I've been working on for 10 months was coming together. But then there was also like the really, sombering sort of thing about Michael Jackson dying and the circumstances that surrounded that we would eventually learn. But, that was kind of surreal to be feeling that kind of stuff all at once. It was really weird. So it was like a light mood and a dark mood around the same time. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but it was weird. The following day, June 26th, was what I had planned to premiere Sonic & Mario on, and that's how things happened. After a couple of delays, I finally had the first episode ready to go on June 26, 2009. That was the date that the series started, and I remember being on the Windows 2000 computer. It was still able to upload videos and like have videos on the hard drive, but I just couldn't make videos on there, so I sent the video to myself on email, I think, and just had it on my computer and had it for a day, and it was ready to upload and whatnot. I had it all planned out, so I uploaded it. I remember it was during like a grill out that my mom was hosting. I should have said like a grill party. But that was like when my city was blowing off their fireworks, and my mom would always hold like a yearly grill and invite family members and stuff. And I remember sitting on my computer for like a couple hours, like because I was excited about uploading the episode and seeing any kind of response that it got. So I was there for a little while, and I remember people coming up to me and being like, "Brandon, why aren't you out having fun?" Brandon's my real name, by the way. And I was just kind of like, "Oh, but there's this thing, I've been really excited about making this video and whatnot," and then I was promptly ignored, and they'd just walk away or whatever. But it was a fun time. I remember, like, that was a pretty good day. I was very happy to have finally gotten this thing done and over with. Sonic & Mario was here, and it was a lot of fun to edit and make the frames and whatnot. Just a good time that summer. Speaking of that summer, I got my computer back in July, which was actually kind of a relief, because there was another virus that infected the Windows 2000 computer, and completely fucked that one over. I don't know how we got that one, but again, just strange shit. But, my computer came back, but it didn't have sound drivers when it got fixed. That was scary. So I actually did quite a bit of the work on episode 2 of Sonic & Mario without the sound, though it wasn't anything that, like, I didn't need to listen to the voice acting, like, immediately when it came in or anything like that. I just needed to make the frames, and I think, like, I wrote the script out, and, whatnot, because I was doing all that one at a time, which is something I'll touch on later, but, didn't have sound for quite a bit of the production of Sonic & Mario's second episode, but eventually it was released in August after I got the sound drivers and the voice acting and whatnot. Again, just a fun time working on Sonic & Mario. So much so that I did like kind of a stupid competition thing between like my Dailymotion and YouTube uploads of the first season. I would like upload the episodes on the same day, and I would take a look at how many views that they got within the first day of upload, and whichever one got more, I would upload an hour earlier than the other one. Just like a bit of fun I was trying to have with the show, in addition to making it and doing the scripting and voice acting and writing the scripts and whatnot. But I already mentioned writing the scripts. I meant doing the frames. But, it was a fun time. I remember trying to do a bit with Sonic & Mario and just try to have fun with the experience, which I'd say that for me personally, I succeeded in doing that, even though I consider the first season of the show bad, for many of the same reasons that I consider like Sonic vs. Mario bad. But at least I was having fun making it. Episodes 3 and 4 were released in September, after which episodes 5 and 6 got delayed quite a bit because I wanted a fight scene in there, and that's something that I was kind of leading into with the last segment. there was a planned fight scene for episodes 5 and 6. Either that or it was just episode 6, I'm not sure. Those episodes got combined, and I think that's actually a good thing because they would have been way too short individually. But, you know, those episodes got combined due to the delays, and that was kind of like something that I really kind of challenged myself. I don't know, I get pedantic about these things, but I wanted season 1 and 2 started by the end of the year, so I combined episodes 5 and 6 so that I could get season 2 out by, you know, the end of 2009, and I think that worked out for the better, actually. But again, you know, episodes 3 and 4, good stuff. They came out within a pretty short distance of each other. Episode 5, however, that got delayed for quite a bit. During said delay, in October, I was a part of like a group that would meet up monthly, and during our first meeting, the head of the group was like, okay guys, you know, like we had a bunch of people there who were interested in like the creative arts. I mentioned that I was an aspiring actor, and that I made videos for YouTube, and like, you know, the other teenagers and whatnot that were there, they also expressed interest in doing various different things. So the head of the group, you know, he was like, hey guys, why don't you like make something for us to be shown at a future meeting? And so I immediately came up with the idea of, okay, I will write a Sonic and Mario thing about how I make the episodes. And again, you know, I was trying to have fun making the show, and it was a fun time making what would eventually become PSA 1 of Sonic and Mario, which I find it's another thing. It was like ripping off Red vs. Blue. Like, it wasn't even a public service announcement, it was a tutorial, but I wanted to call it PSA 1 anyway. That came out on December 8th after working on it, and the group meeting was the next day, so I showed it to them, and I'm surprised that it got like a really positive response. I got a bunch of questions after the video, and we watched the first couple of episodes of the series. Again, I'm going to say it was a fun time, and again, just very surprised that I got like that kind of reaction in person to having like a Sonic and Mario thing shown, but I had a fun time explaining how I did sprite videos at the time. It's a bit outdated now, I've changed my methods a little bit, but like, for anyone who might be interested in doing that kind of thing, I think it could be possibly an interesting look. It's definitely the bright spot of the first season era of Sonic and Mario, that PSA video, which isn't even actually a PSA, but there you go. Also in December, I decided to announce that there was going to be a spin-off series for Sonic and Mario after the show ended, starring the Chaotix. I fucking love the Chaotix as characters, Vector, Espio, and Charmy, and I felt that they deserved their own show. After writing like a bit of episodes in, you know, the various Sonic and Mario seasons that I had up to that point, like in writing anyway, or at least outlining, I was like, you know, I want to make a show about these guys, and I started writing that too. And so I announced in December that after Sonic and Mario ended, whenever that was going to be, there was going to be a Team Chaotix centered spin-off called Team Chaotix. That, again, another idea that didn't really come to fruition, but it's something I could still technically do, but I'm not terribly interested anymore. Again, lots of ideas that just swirl around in my head that I've got to get out sometimes, and that was one of them. So, near the end of the year now, after a bunch of delays to episode 5, and like, my brother was supposed to animate the fight scene, but we just couldn't get it started. He was busy with school and whatnot. I decided, you know what, I want this episode out. I'm going to turn this into a joke. So in episode 5 of Sonic and Mario, the season 1 finale, I started the running gag of subverting the fight scenes, or reverting them, or whatever you want to say, like setting them up and then having them not happen. They weren't all the same. You know, the first one, like in episode 5, was it was like a long-winded rant like I'm doing right now, just about random shit. But the other ones were just like a text screen for, you know, a little bit. I decided to save the big old rants for the season finales because I didn't want to bore the shit out of my audience. the very small audience that I had at the time. So yeah, the beginning of a running gag because I just couldn't exercise any patience, and episode 5 came out on December 28th because of that. So part 1 of my goal, season 1 did end in the year 2009, but part 2 would get a little close actually, because episode 6, I was making the frames actually at the same time that I was doing frames for episode 5, which was something I like never did, and I don't think I would ever do afterward actually. I don't think that I've ever made frames for 2 sprite videos at the same time. Could be wrong about that, but I'm not sure. Just the only time that I am sure is episode 6 and 5 of Sonic and Mario. Frames were being made at the same time. But again, like, episode 6 came really close. I got the voice acting in, I think, at the beginning of the month from my other actors. I did my acting in the middle of the month or so. The frames weren't done until the 31st of December. And the editing, I did that all at like 6 in the morning. And I also ran into troubles with Movie Maker, so I had to there was like a fix that I could do, like a weird reboot thing for Movie Maker. I'm not sure how to explain it, but it involves the process of like installing the program again. I'm not really sure, but like I had to do that so that it wouldn't keep crashing on me. But eventually it worked out, and at like 8 a.m. the episode was done and I uploaded it, and part 2 of my goal was achieved. I completed season 1 and got season 2 underway by the end of the year 2009, just barely hitting the goal. And I was up all night, so I immediately went to sleep pretty much until like around the time that the New Year's ball started dropping. So that's how I spent my New Year's Eve in 2009, hurrying up to finish episode 6 so that I could hit my goal of seasons 1 and 2 premiered by the end of the year. Just barely got it, was happy with that, and that's how 2009 ended. On a pretty good note as far as like my goals are concerned. I wanted more episodes out, but you know, I just wasn't really able to do that, and never really was. Sonic and Mario was intended to be a weekly series. I just was never able to get that to come to fruition because, you know, I'm just like a one-man team, so that wasn't really a realistic expectation of me. But I guess it's good to have goals, and I made my goal for the end of 2009, and I think I can be happy with that in hindsight.